Hi, in this short clip, I'd like to offer you some simple yet effective ideas for managing overload. I guess we all feel overloaded, perhaps most of the time. Too much to do and too little time to do it. Another way of putting this is to say that demand on our time exceeds supply, our capacity to deliver. This simple diagram makes the point. This is the model that most people probably have in their heads. However, if we look at what actually happens each day, then in reality the truth is actually different. At the end of each day, the two columns are equalised. We either prioritise the demand and find the time to clear whatever we want or need to clear, or we prioritise supply. We simply stop for the day, leaving some of the demands unmet. In effect, in managing overload on a daily basis, you either prioritise supply or prioritise demand. If you have to get the job done and so you stay late, that's prioritising demand. If you have promised to leave work at 5 and you do, leaving some work unfinished, that's prioritising supply. So far, so straightforward. However, you can be even smarter and manage your workload to either reduce the pressures of demand and or increase the supply available to you. Let's look at reducing the demand. There are 4 things we think you can do. The first is obviously to prioritise your workload. What has to be done and in what order? What's the cost or impact of not doing any of these tasks? Secondly, manage your customers' expectations. Are their demands unreasonable or costly? Will a more cost-effective and quicker version be acceptable? Though they may prefer a Rolls-Royce, they may not be prepared to pay for it. Thirdly, manage your own expectations. Do you overcommit or produce work to a standard that meets your personal drive for excellence rather than deliver something that is good enough? And fourthly, negotiate anything that isn't helpful. For example, if a deadline is tricky to meet, see if the customer or client is prepared to move it to a later time. Turning to the supply side, there are a further 4 things we think you can do. The first of these is to work smarter rather than longer. Make meetings more effective and for a shorter time. Try standing up for meetings. Write your draft report only once rather than work through several versions. Secondly, break the work into bite-sized chunks. Maybe you don't have to do all the tasks at once. Spread it out. Thirdly, reschedule. This sounds like prioritising, but it isn't. Does that task, even if it's a priority, have to be done today? Would doing it at a later time take some of the pressure off? Because it's a priority doesn't mean it has to be done now. What's the best time to do it? And finally, can the task be delegated? Are you doing work or hanging on to work that others could do? Or worse still, doing work that others should be doing because it is part of their job and not yours. The sticky fingers problem. So when faced with overload, consider this 4 times 4 approach. 4 things to reduce demand, 4 things to increase supply. Thank you for listening.